Welcome around Supply Box. Today we're going to tie one of my favorite bluegill patterns. It's the X-Gurgler. It's tied in almost the same fashion as the Tri-Visible Gurgler, which is a larger crossover pattern. I tied it for large gills, but mainly as a spider pattern for lily pads. This is the smaller version, targeted specifically at bluegills. I have actually fished this pattern for trout as well, and in riffles and pocket water the trout will come up readily for it. But let's go over how I tie it. I start off with a size 10 standard dry hook and black 6/0 uni thread, and we're going to start a base. It's a very durable pattern. It's not unlike other UC spider patterns. It's a foam spider with legs, a few twists to it. And I put a fairly sizable base. I build it just a little bit, then I bring it to the back. You'll see why in just a second. And the first thing we're going to tie in, I use 4 to 5. I don't necessarily count them, but generally I believe I got 4 here. Yeah. 4 strands of pearlescent flashabou. This is the under. It's the tail, but it's actually under the tail. It's just an attractor. I'm going to tie that in, extended over the rear of the hook. I'm just going to drape that around and leave it long. We'll trim it after we put the body on. Next material you're going to tie in is what the body is built of. It's foam. This is thin black razor foam. And we're going to start it. I put the butt of it against where the tie-in for the tail is. Then I bring it forward loosely just to make sure I get the tie-in correct, and then you're going to bring it back over and you're going to tie that down. You're just going to bind all that down with thread. And I don't like to use glues if I don't have to. So the reason for the little bit enlarged thread base is to make sure that the foam stays in place. If you put an extra thread base on, you don't use glue, the foam won't spin on you as bad. Next you're going to fold it over and you're going to form your head. The head should be about gape length, same distance as the gape of the hook, and you're going to form your head, making sure everything stays on top, and you're going to wrap your body back all the way back to the tie-in point of the tail. And then bind that down good. Nice even thread base. Doesn't have to be a perfect thread base, but you want the body to be even. And you don't have to measure it. It's not that specific, but you want to get it close. Next, you're going to take your tail, the foam tail, and you're going to cut it off again, gape length. And then you're going to trim your corners, give yourself a slightly pointed tail, and then you're going to trim your flashabou. And what you're going to do is you're going to trim it exactly twice the length of your foam tail. So you're going to take it another length with the tail, be past the tip of your the foam tail, and trim it off. Next material you're going to tie in are your legs. I use centipede legs. You can use either brown. I intermix brown and black and olive and black. I bring it to the middle, give a few loose wraps on top, and work my legs back down to where they're in the right place, and then give 3 or 4 good tight wraps, and then bring your thread to the rear. Next material you're going to tie in is a dry fly hackle. I use saddle or neck. You're going to cut it, or you're going to pick a hackle that is one size smaller than your hook. So this is a size 10 we're tying here. You're going to tie this in. You're going to pick a size 12 saddle hackle. I use grizzly for this pattern. You can tie it with any color you want. I've tied it in black, white, furnace. They all work. Grizzly seems, this pattern right here, this variation seems to be the most effective for me. Trying to work around the legs. What I like to do is I use a third hand when I'm starting the hackle. I'll grab them all, then I'm hanging to the front so it's out of the way. I left my butt a little bit big. You don't have to cover everything up completely. It's not that touchy of a fly. And then what I do once I get the hackle tied in, I'll release my legs. I'll come up to the middle with my thread and bring my thread to the front. Next you're going to grab your hackle pliers, and you're going to wrap forward. As a rule, I do at least 2 in the back. This one right here will be, you're going to palmer it. It's not going to be tight like a collar. I can usually get 2 or 3 in the back. Then I bring up to the middle, and I'll do 2 tight together. I'll sweep the legs back again and do 3 in the front. Might do 4 here just because, or we'll bring it around and tie it off on the 4th. And then tie off behind the head. I said, not a hard pattern to tie. Very basic. It is very durable and a very effective panfish fly. This pattern right here, along with the foam butt caddis, have replaced my bluegill poppers. I very seldom fish a small bluegill popper anymore. I've gone to these bugs, and when I whip finish again, I use my third hand. Keep those legs out of the way because I like to trim them last. And then I trim my legs approximately shank length. I don't want large legs. You just want legs large enough to work as rudders. Give that footprint. I want a little bit long there. And then I'll come up underneath and I'll put a drop of Sally's to lock that head in place underneath. So I do it from the bottom. But there it is. The X-Gurgler. Very, very effective bluegill pattern. It does work on trout and pocket water, broken water. The footprint, much like a Madam X, it'll give that same footprint. Fish will take it, especially in the fall. But a very effective warm water pattern. Thank you very much. I hope it adds to your box. Good luck. See you in the water.